microphones on mute unless you are speaking. As you are presenting, feel free to turn on your camera to engage the audience. Use the chat box or the hand raise icon if you want to ask a question or comment in between the meeting. And last, the most important one. In District 122 meetings, we do not talk about sex, religion, or politics. I hope it's clear upon all the guests in Toastmasters. Let's create halcyon moments today, full of learning, laughter, and inspiration. Let me welcome the acting president, Toastmaster Imran Rana. Start the meeting officially. Over to you, Toastmaster Imran Rana.
Thank you so much, our Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Tanzeen Fatma, fellow Toastmasters, and guest. Sorry, we don't have guest with us. So a very good evening and welcome to another exciting meeting of Quantum Leap. As we all know, Quantum Leap is aimed at rekindling the curiosity into advanced physics. And we have an amazing keynote speech and today's Toastmaster theme related to that field as well. So it is a club by Geeks for Geeks with a mission to make this world a better place through science and communication. So with that, let's kick things off. Let me ask Toastmaster Latif Mansoor Ali, after joining quite a long time. So could you please briefly introduce yourself?
Okay. My name is Latif, a member of Karachi Toastmasters Club. I live in Kuwait and have a little bit of good time off from work. So thought to have a good understanding of others' experiences and learn from others to do better in life somewhere, sometimes in near future, inshallah. Over to you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Latif. Hope you are here for the whole meeting, right? And we could assign some roles as well. That's great. So we have Aisha Lodhi with us. Aisha Lodhi, I'm sure you are a Toastmaster, but we would love to have your brief introduction.
Hi, hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are perfectly audible.
Yeah, sorry, I just clicked the link from my cell phone. So yeah, I'll join it in my laptop in a second. So I'm Aisha Lodhi. I'm a doctor and I am also a member of um, uh, WordWise Advanced Toastmasters.
Okay, good to have you, Toastmaster Aisha. I hope you are here for the whole session, and we would love you to make you the part of the meeting as well for some room. And
Thank
we
you.
have Toastmaster Kumar. Kumar, could you please give us your brief introduction? Just give us your brief introduction, Kumar. Yes, you are audible. Now you are not. Okay. So let us start our today's meeting. Today's Toastmaster of today. Yes, Kumar.
Okay, my name is Kumar. I'm from District 102, Malaysia. I joined Toastmasters in '89, and
Yeah.
I've ever been a. Hello?
Yes, please.
I joined Toastmasters in '89, Kulwang Toastmasters Club, Malaysia.
Okay, great. At that time, I was just 9 years old boy. Okay, so good to have you, Toastmaster Kumar. And now it's time for me to hand hand over the charge to the Toastmaster of the day. He is all over in District 122 and some other district as well. He have served the district as CGD, PQD, and DD, and so many and IPDD as well. He has been number of times VP Education. It seems like he loved to be VP Education. A role. Let's welcome with a huge round of applause. And he is also a 6 times DTM as well. If I'm correct, please correct me if I'm wrong. So please welcome with a huge round of applause, distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid on stage. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Acting President and VP Education. And thank you for that lovely introduction, which I gave to you to read out. No, actually, I did not. But all right. So everyone, welcome to the 81st meeting of Quantum Leap Advanced Toastmasters Club. As mentioned earlier, this club is an advanced club, and it focuses on science, technology, engineering, mathematics, environment, and humanity. Anything to rekindle our curiosity into how the universe works and how we can make things better. And today we have a packed meeting schedule, so thank you in advance to all the role players. Today's theme is the madness of quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is one field where the more you look into it, the more random and arbitrary and idiotic it becomes. Absurd, in fact. I won't say idiotic, but absurd. There are a few phenomena which simply defy logic. For example, the first phenomenon that I would like to talk about is the double slit experiment. And many of you may know about it or may have heard of it. If I were to summarize it, this double slit experiment actually traces what impact does a ray of light have on a photographic film. So when the ray of light is passed through two slits, and hence the name double slits, they pass through both the slits and then they form an interference pattern on the photographic film beyond the double slits. And that's pretty much expected because we all know about the interference of waves when the waves actually interact with each other. They either reinforce or cancel each other. And so at points of reinforcement, you see a very thick line. At points of cancellation, you see nothing. So an interference pattern like this is formed. But something very interesting happens when you change the conditions of the experiment. When you actually pass a single electron and fire that at the double slits, it also interacts with itself, and you still see an interference pattern. This was the first discovery that actually, that actually signaled that not all was what it seemed. And there may be something fundamentally lacking in our understanding of the universe, because if there is a single particle, apparently it was passing through both the slits and it was interfering with itself. But it gets even more absurd. The scientists placed instruments to monitor the electrons or photons, whatever. It applies to any particle. When they placed the monitors, the double slit pattern stopped appearing. And instead, the particles behaved exactly as one would expect. They stopped interfering with themselves. Then they tried to place the detectors after the slits, so that there was no way of the particle to detect a detector. And yet, in that instance too, they changed their behavior. So they had one behavior when they were being observed, and they had another behavior when they were not being observed. some scientists theorized, and so far, by the way, there's not a full 100% rational agreed upon explanation for this. Some scientists theorize that the particles somehow are aware that they are being watched. And that is how or why they change their behavior, because in order to obey the laws of physics, the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, that you can't measure a particle position and momentum of a particle at the same time. In order for that to be true, our detectors should not work properly. Another explanation, which is even more mind-boggling, when the particles pass through the double slits and the detectors are there, somehow the presence of that detectors changes the behavior of the particle when they're fired. They become particles. Before that, when they're not being observed, they are waves and they're interfering as waves. But when they're being observed, they act like particles and they don't interfere with themselves. So what does that imply? That implies that the detector being present is something that happens after the particle is fired, right? So in effect, the presence of that detector in the future is actually affecting the behavior of the particle in the past. It knows that I will encounter a detector, or even if it doesn't know, when it encounters the detector, somehow that information travels into the past and changes the behavior of that particle. This is just one of the absurdities, one of the areas of quantum mechanics. So we will continue to explore these and some other areas. And let's now move on to the meeting. Today, our language evaluator is Toastmaster Tehseen Fatima. So Toastmaster Tehseen, please introduce your role and word of mouth.
Hello, everyone. So our word of the day is Halocene. It is spelled as Halcyon. I'll copy paste in the chat box as well, and pronounced as Halcyon. Sorry, not Halocene. It's Halcyon. So the it's an adjective. It's a Greek origin word, and it means that it denotes a period of time in the past that was ideally happy, calm, and peaceful. So you can say, many of us look back, fond on the Halocene days of our early Toastmasters journey. You can say, let's create halcyon moments today, full of learning, laughter, and inspiration. So let's try to use it utmost in our speeches and in our comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster, language evaluator. And let's hope that today proves to be another meeting that extends the halcyon days, halcyon days of members and guests of Quantum Leap Advanced Toastmasters. So I will be doing the timing according to the timing of the project. And as timer, my first duty is to report that we are 5 minutes behind time. So let's not waste further time and get on straight to our first segment, which is our Geek of the Week. And today's Geek of the Week is our National Champion of Public Speaking for 2023 and one of the founder members of this club. And his topic for Geek of the Week is quantum immortality. So everyone put your hands together for Toastmaster Khurram Chishti, quantum immortality.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Am I audible?
Yes.
Fellow Toastmasters, imagine facing a life or death gamble, a scenario so extreme that odds are stacked against you, yet somehow you always make it through. It sounds like fiction, but it's the provocative idea behind quantum immortality. A thought experiment from scientists born from many world interpretation and con- this whole idea today we say it as multiverse in quantum mechanics. The one of the another term is many world interpretation, MWI. It doesn't promise you a literally an eternal life. Rather, it explores what survival looks like if reality branches at every quantum event. Today, I'll take you through what quantum immortality proposes, why it's captivating people, and the deep scientific and philosophical problem that it keeps it firmly in the realm of speculation. Now, at the heart of quantum immortality is the many world interpretation or multiverse. Every quantum event, every moment where particle could be one path or another splits the universe into branches that realize each possibility. Now, instead of a randomness selecting a single outcome, all outcomes exist at each of their own branch. Now, consider there was an experiment by Schrödinger and famously named as Schrödinger experiment of cat, and or you can use it for your own purpose. That there was a device that triggered a deathly event, a poison or a bomb, and there's a 50% chance of that. And Schrödinger did this experiment with the cat, having a poisonous gas into it that triggered at a very specific time, and there were the detectors that look into the quantum event. Now, at a super state of the particles, it's either the electron can spin or it can go down, or at the super state, it both exists at the same time. But if it is true for the particles, it could be true for the cat as well, that it will live or die. Consider your own self that if you are in that situation of a bomb or explosion, in the quantum world theories, in the multiverse, there's a branch where you do not survive, and there's a branch that you continue to live on. But the the problem or the idea is that you can experience only your existence. You cannot experience your non-existence or your death. Now, but these ideas collides with physics and the common sense in important ways. And very quickly, let me take you through to few let's say abnormalities into this idea. First, the probabilities of quantum mechanics are not equal. It's not like a flip of coin having a 50% chance. The Born rules tells us that some branches are vastly less likely to happen, and in the quantum immortality implicitly treats you as the first person continue to search for the track where you are surviving, but it doesn't explain why your subjective experience should weight unlikely branches if they are really guaranteed, where they are actually not guaranteed. And secondly, the identity is so messy. You are in one branch where you are whatever you are existing today. In the second branch, is it the you the same or different, or it's something come out of you, similar of you? We don't have answer of that. Thirdly, the the real world is not a single dramatic coin flip. Aging, diseases, accidents are gradual, cumulative. They are processed sharply by biology and environment. Now, quantum branches doesn't magically prevent entropy. It only says that that there's a branch exists where you are extraordinarily lucky that every turn you survive. Those branches would be astronomically rare, thin to measure, and finally, the ethical troublings, like ethical troublings of religion and ethical troubling of your own moral grounds. Now, many religions have a very different interpretation toward life after death, and we will see when it comes to be. But at the moral grounds, if you know that you are going to survive one way or another, you will be reckless in your choices in your current life, which is again not a ethical way of doing the things. Now, as a conclusion, the quantum immortality is a powerful precisely because it sits at the edge of the science and selfhood. It asks, if every quantum possibility happen, what does it mean to be myself through different lives? The many world interpretation offers a grand branching picture of reality, but translating that picture into a promise of a person survives run into a serious conceptual roadblocks. Once a famous university professor says into the first lecture of quantum mechanics that at the end of this course, you will realize that how ignorant you are after learning everything, and you will understand that at the end of the course, I also don't know anything. And that's what I have replicated with you in this Geek of the Week. Enjoy rest of the meeting. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. At this point, I'm starting to feel sorry for those participants who do not have an idea, even the passing acquaintance with quantum mechanics. And they would be wondering, what the hell is going on? But this reality is actually quantum mechanics is, of course, fundamentally at odds with Einstein's the gravity mechanism and the macro scale universe. So that is also not at odds, maybe, but yeah, not compatible, or we have yet to find a bridge. But and that is the fundamental disconnect where when we talk about the weird quantum effects, such as the multiverse or the many worlds effect that Toastmaster Forum mentioned, that every quantum event, that means everything that happens, actually creates a new timeline where two different outcomes are possible. But then we don't see that on a macro scale, as Toastmaster Forum mentioned. We keep living our lives, and we don't observe ourselves jumping into many universes. But let me tell you, there are so many effects that actually replicate onto a macro scale as well, and we'll talk about them further down the line. At this point, just let me state that we cannot see people, particles, cars, houses existing in a multiverse. But think about it. Each and everything is made of atoms and subatomic particles. And once you get right down to that scale, all of that is the realm where quantum effects become material and they start to matter. Even your consciousness, because let me tell you, your consciousness is dependent upon electrical impulses that are being exchanged within your brain, and they're carried through ions, I believe. So ions are charged atoms, and once again, let's get down to atoms. Quantum effects become applicable. So it is safe to say that all of that, all the quantum effects are happening all around us. In a macro scale, perhaps they're too invisible or too tiny to be noticed. But at the same time, the many world theory also says that there might be several versions of you existing simultaneously. And who knows, maybe when we are dreaming, we are actually experiencing one of those versions. So without further ado, let me invite our keynote speaker today, Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim, is a nerd and a geek, and I was convinced of that. I thought it was quite weird because he's actually a finance professional, and he seems to have a deep understanding of and deep interest into the world of physics and quantum physics and relativity. And I thought, how weird was that? But then I realized one thing, that that happens to be true for me as well. So what does that make me? Weird as well. So in this world of weirdos, I think weirdos are right at home in Quantum Leap Advanced Toastmasters Club. And that's exactly the purpose for which this club was formed. We all have our special interests, our weird side. And sometimes we experience some things, we get to learn about things which are not compatible with our day to day. So this is the place where we can be ourselves. So today's keynote is all about quantum mechanics as well, quantum theory. And it is titled To Infinity and Beyond. Anybody who's watched Toy Story would identify with this mix. So please put your hands together for Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim. To Infinity and Beyond. To Infinity and Beyond, Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, dear Toastmaster Talha. Am I audible?
Okay. You are.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, it was quite interesting to hear the speeches or the narratives from Toastmaster Talha and Toastmaster Khurram before I was going to start with my speech on the topic of the quantum mechanics and its relevance and the most important aspects that anybody who is keen to understand or have any interest in that area could consider. But obviously, when you start looking at the space and when you start looking at the quantum mechanics or talk about Schrodinger's cat, and then let's keep it a little bit simple. Let's take a step back from being the nerds that we are. So the question that one could ask himself is, am I really here? I asked that question once for myself while I was looking at Google Maps just before I bumped into a glass door. And that's where my phone froze. But it's a question that goes deeper than my bruised forehead. Am I really here? Or am I just a wave function collapsing every time someone looks at me? Am I really here? Fellow Toastmasters and cosmic wanderers, together, let's take a journey, not just through space, but through infinity and beyond. Reality, as it turns out, just has a few bugs. In the quantum world, as Toastmaster Talha also highlighted, a particle can be in two places at once. It can travel backward in time. And worst of all, it only decides what to be after you look at it. That's right. The universe is basically a teenager It only behaves when you are watching. Physicists call this the observer effect. Now, when you look at it this way, there is another very teeny tiny details to that. And that is that if a particle can travel on the closed time-like curvature, which is a path basically which kind of comes back and then bends onto itself, there is a possibility that you might travel back in time. But then again, the laws of physics and philosophical theory as well would suggest that might not be possible. I was actually talking to a friend of mine a few days ago, where I was remembering the halcyon days of, if I pronounce it correctly, my apologies if I mispronounced it, but halcyon days of our college activity days, which we really missed. But then again, the laws of physics prevent that particle to come back or travel back in time to avoid natural paradoxes like preventing one's own birth. So this observer effect is essentially, going back to that, is the very act of observing changes when and what's being observed. So next time when you are trying to lose weight, just stare at the cake until it collapses into a salad. Now, an important topic was discussed before my speech, and that was basically shared by fellow Toastmaster Khurram on the Schrodinger's cat. He was right about bringing up that subject to this meeting, because no true trip through quantum weirdness is complete without Schrodinger's cat. You put a cat in a box with a radioactive atom, a Geiger counter, a hammer, and a vial of poison. If the radioactive atom decays, poor cat. If not, a happy cat. But until you open the box, it's both active and dead. Which makes me think maybe my 100 emails are like that. Until I open them, they are both answered and ignored. And every Monday morning or Sunday morning for the region that we are in, I pray the wave function never collapses into a Monday or a morning where I have to go back to my office. Let's hope for that wave function to collapse one day towards what I want it to be observed as. Then we move on to the next interesting aspect of quantum mechanics, which is the entanglement, kind of the universe's Wi-Fi, if you consider it in a simple way. The quantum entanglement is what Einstein calls spooky action at a distance. Now, this spooky action at a distance is explained simplistically this way. Imagine two particles so deeply connected that whatever happens to one instantly happens to the other, even if they are galaxies apart. That's not science fiction, by the way. That's quantum mechanics. And that's something that we have been able to replicate in today's world as well. The information transfer that has been experimented with using quantum entanglement promises us for a data connection and communication to be much faster than what it is at present. So basically, this quantum entanglement is the universe's Wi-Fi connection. Instant, invisible, and yes, occasionally drops when you need it the most. But think about it. Isn't that how humans work too? When someone you love smiles, you feel it instantly. When they're hurting, your heart acts instantly. When somebody that you love is sick somewhere else, you instantly get the feeling that something is wrong, right? Within that moment. Or when somebody picks up the phone to call you, it's a strong possibility that you might be thinking of that person, right? A few microseconds before the call is arrived. Maybe deep down, we are all entangled together in a kind of fabric, a thread interwoven together. Everyone connected to the other connected to us, and the other, and the other, and the other. But taking a step back, let's talk about the space-time fabric, which is the ultimate blanket across the entire universe. Let's zoom out from the tiny quantum world that we every day are able to experience in our daily lives. Let's go to the grand stage of the cosmos. Picture the fabric of space-time, the great cosmic blanket that holds everything together in its pieces, in its places, in its own weight, the way it's supposed to be interacting together through that connection. Einstein taught us that space and time aren't separate. They are threads of basically a vast fabric through which we are traveling. And when something really massive, like a planet or a star, sits on it, it bends that fabric, which we all of us know as gravity. I always picture the universe as a trampoline. You put the sun in the middle like that, it makes a dent, planets roll around it like confused marbles, and I am the marble that forgot my password and now orbiting the wrong email account. But here is where it gets all truly magical. Space-time ripples. The fabric, because it is connected, an event taking place in one direction or one point in the universe, when two black holes collide, for instance, or two stars for that matter, they send shock waves through the cosmic fabric, gravitational waves, very teeny tiny, something that you are not able to observe without sophisticated equipment that's there, geared towards calculation and analysis of all of that data that's coming to you. So when they send the shock waves through that whole fabric, and scientists here on Earth can actually feel them. So next time when you feel a sudden shiver under the stars, maybe it's not the wind. Maybe it's the fabric of the universe whispering, you belong here. Now, it definitely takes us to where we are at the moment as humans, the human fabric, woven of the same thread. If space-time is the cosmic fabric, then we are its embroidery. Every act of kindness, every spark of curiosity, sends a tiny ripple through that fabric. You think your life doesn't ripple through the universe? Tell that to gravity. Tell that to the photon that left a dying star 1 billion years ago just to land in your eye tonight. So you are observing that universe, you are observing that event while sitting on your porch, looking at the sky and the starlit night that is out there. We are not in the universe. We are woven into it. Anything that happens somewhere else eventually reaches us through that fabric. Now, a funny thing, I would say, speaking about the ripples, I once went to a cafe with a physical friend, actually. He ordered coffee. I asked for tea. The waiter came back with both and said, I'm sure he must be a physicist. He said, until you observe, it's both tea and coffee. I laughed until I saw the bill. That's when I truly understood the financial uncertainty principle. No matter how certain you are about your budget, the outcome is always uncertain. Anyways, that's what we are. But let's talk about another aspect of the quantum mechanics, which is essentially infinity. And without infinity, you cannot talk about the universe itself. Infinity isn't just a number that you can reach. It's basically a direction you can move forward. Like trying to finish Netflix, all the movies, all the seasons that you believe, oh, this is going to be the last one, but no, after that, there is another one, and then there is another one, and then there is, which is basically infinite universe of everything. Between any 2 points, there is infinity. Between any 2 moments, infinite possibilities. Between 2 decisions and after 2 decisions, side by side running parallel, infinite possible outcomes, as was mentioned by Toastmaster Khurram. Number of parallel universes that could actually be existing as a result of our decisions. Infinity is what keeps curiosity alive. What makes scientists ask why, and philosophers ask why not. So when Buzz Lightyear shouted to infinity and beyond, maybe he wasn't being dramatic. Maybe he was reminding us to never stop exploring, not just the galaxies there, but the galaxies within. Which leads me to the consciousness aspect of the whole scheme, which is basically the final mystery in my humble opinion. There is a saying in quantum physics, the observer is essentially part of the experiment. Meaning, the universe doesn't just exist, it interacts with awareness. Maybe space-time isn't a stage we perform on. Maybe it's alive, bending itself around consciousness. When you look up the stars, perhaps it's not us observing the universe. Perhaps it's the universe observing itself through us. Perhaps it's us influencing the universe of events. After all, the atoms in our eyes were born in dying stars. When we gaze at the cosmos, it's the universe reflecting on its own existence. So my friends, as we close this quantum journey, remember, you are made of the same particles that ripple through the fabric of space-time. You are both wave and particle, both here and elsewhere. You are entangled with everyone you love, and maybe to infinity and beyond isn't a command. It's an invitation to stretch your mind, to bend your perception, and to ripple the universe with curiosity. Because if reality only becomes real when it's observed, what new universe might appear if you finally dared to look with your own eyes and within your own? Thank you very much, fellow Toastmasters, for the opportunity to talk about all these complex topics. I hope I didn't bore you, and I would be looking forward to hearing any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Salman. I think you just blew our minds because the way you connected quantum mechanics to our place in the universe and our thoughts and emotions, that used to be the sole purview of an actual scientist that we invite regularly to Quantum Leap, Sky Nelson Isaacs from USA. He was our first ever keynote speaker, and every few months we invite him. And he specializes in this area as well. So how beautiful was that? Especially one line that really captured me was that maybe our eyes looking at the universe is, in fact, the universe is something like, the universe looking at itself. Because yes, that's exactly what it is. And your thoughts about consciousness and its place in the universe. That is something that scientists have debated. They're still debating because it's at one point it is very obvious that everything exists because we observe it. But if you look at it from a scientific perspective, it looks incredibly self-centered and incredibly simplistic, despite being true. So I'll open the floor to questions and answers. Please raise your hand or just unmute yourself. And I will start with the first question, which is precisely what I mentioned, that, what do you think, what place does consciousness have? You just mentioned that we are not in the universe, we are part of, we are woven into. So what do you think consciousness, what place consciousness has in how the universe works?
I think consciousness is a very important part of the universe, because when you are thinking about something, a lot of people are essentially are curious enough, at the same time executors as well. So what basically you are able to conceive in your mind, then you are able to impact it, impact the universe through your actions as well. But then again, when you try to understand what the whole concept about your existence in this universe is, you are then definitely going to look at the meaning of your existence. And then eventually everybody has their own way of looking at things, even if it's on the evil side. I don't have any opinion on that, because every yin has to have a yang on the other side. So that's how I believe we are going to affect whatever is around us, to the point, and as we discussed in another meeting before, that the more density, the more weight you have through your consciousness, the bigger your dent is in that whole fabric.
thank you so much for that. And yes, that is the crux of it, right? And in fact, that also leads, because Einstein was so disgusted by quantum mechanics that he dismissed it, because Einstein believed in God. And to him, it sounded as if quantum mechanics actually removed the role of God in the universe, and it turned it into this random mess where everything just happened without any plan. So he said that God doesn't play dice, and that's why he rejected quantum mechanics. But I don't know. Of course, I don't pretend to be more intelligent than Einstein. I don't think it is even possible. But the way you look at quantum mechanics, and if you turn your perspective, something is creating order out of nothing, right? I have this glass. Now, this glass cannot, through any natural process, come into being. It has to be designed. And the act of its creation actually represents a reversal of entropy. It actually represents disordered matter for taking the shape of matter, ordered matter, right? And that's what's happening all around us. That's what creation is. And so far as I can see, any creation takes consciousness. Without consciousness, you cannot even create a tiny thing. If you look at the natural processes, you can't imagine any natural process, anything happening in the hearts of stars or planets or nebulas, randomly creating this, right? And then replicating it. So this is just one example where at least I feel that, consciousness and of course, supreme consciousness.
Yeah. I'll add one thing to it here, and that would be, so we are talking about the same particles in crude oil. Some of those particles, everything boils down to electrons, atoms, and quarks, and to the tiny string theory, as you would like to put it. Everything essentially boils down to that. But eventually, when it's combined together, it takes a different shape.
Right.
And it has a different behavior. The same particles can combine together to become steel. And same particles could combine to be a potato or an egg, for that matter. And this is not random. I mean, I fully agree with you on that part. And of course, there is a reason for all of that. And I'm sure everything taking its shape has consciousness itself. I mean, if we are not able to observe it, that's another story. But who we are is essentially a combination of those particles.
Exactly.
We are nothing else either. I mean, deep down, nothing else but the same atoms.
Exactly.
Electrons, neutrons. So we are this one shape. What makes us believe that a potato doesn't have a consciousness, or a tree doesn't have a consciousness, or a star doesn't have a mind of its own?
Yeah.
So this is again, then we are all interwoven together through those. And even the air that I breathe in is essentially the same components. Everything is just one big, huge, infinite body of particles.
Exactly. And it's the same particles as you mentioned. It's the same subatomic particles that form everything. But they randomly decide to take different shapes and forms. So, okay. So any further questions for Toastmaster Salman? If not, we can move on with the meeting. And before we move on, I would just like to share a meme that I received, because Toastmaster Salman, just like all of us, seems to be a big fan of returning to office at the start of a week, right? So this is something I received, struck me as very funny, so I'd like to share it. This is an automatic reply, away from office reply. And it says, I'm out of office enjoying my life. I hope this place burns to to the ground in my absence. If I don't stumble into a great pile of money, I will return on September 16 to deal with whatever BS you're milling about. So I wish we could all, set our out of office replies to this tone. Then perhaps once we do that, we won't be able to return to office at all. Anyhow, so now it is time for our next segment, and it is the prepared speeches. And I'm wondering if through some quantum jump in space-time, it is Christmas, because I see Santa Claus. And that is Toastmaster Imran Rana. So Toastmaster Imran Rana, the stage is yours for our first prepared speech.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, our first speaker is Toastmaster Tehseen Fatma. And mashallah, she is quite regular in delivering the speeches. And before that, I would like to confirm my modular evaluators. We have Talha bin Hamid as auditory, DTM Sarfraz Nazir.
Yes.
You are here as visuals.
Okay.
We don't have Sudarshan, so if Salman, you are available, can we have you as perceptible?
Yeah, sure. I can do that.
That's great. That's great. Latif has regrets because he's busy working for his Baghdad work. No worries, Latif. Okay. So Toastmaster Tehseen Fatma is delivering her project from Engaging Humor. The project title is The Wallet Guy, and the speech duration is 5 to 7 minutes. She will be presenting a well-organized speech. It's a level 3 project elective, and it's all about effective visual aids. So Toastmaster Tehseen Fatma, the wallet guy, Toastmaster Tehseen Fatma, the stage is yours.
Very much, Toastmaster Imran Rana. Let me share my screen and set the settings. In between, I might vanish for a couple of seconds thanks to my 10G internet, but I'll come back.
Sure.
So it's happening. Just let me allow. I hope my screen and myself both are perfectly viewable and audible to everyone.
Yes, they are.
Okay, great. So Mr. Timer, please start the timing now. Hello, this is Toastmaster Tehseen Fatma, and today I'll take you a different world of insights and sentiments, where actually the amalgam happened in a very different way. So, in our digital media, in our social media, usually insights are like brand X has achieved this KPI and brand Y has achieved this KPI, and it is backed by the data, of course. And sentiment is actually when we post anything on Facebook, Instagram, on any other social handle, and the comments appear underneath that post, and we actually segregate them into positives, negatives, and neutral. Oh, this much positive sentiment on this post. Wow, great. Oh, this much negative sentiment. Oh, come on, let's do something about it. So this is how our digital insights and sentiment things work. For example, if it's 7-Up or Coke, so we are always ready to have the negative sentiment because of Gaza, Palestine, or any other element in the universe. So these brands are always under the fire. And same goes for the positive. And if Myra Khan has come up inserting it, so there will be a lot of love for the brand and for the artist itself. So we know how these things work, and we play around. And the brand guys who has invested a lot of fortune on these assets. Oh God, so much positives. So much negative. Oh wow, the competitor EBN has got 2x. Oh, Unilever has got 3x. So this is how the whole thing works. And the brand team is always happy and we think the job is done. But there are some species in the world who have a technical fault. And it's not a manufacturing fault, of course. The manufacturer is perfect, but it's us. And who have this issue that no, hold on, the job is not done.
She seems disconnected. Yes, carry on, carry on.
Sorry. Okay, I thought the internet got disrupted.
Okay, carry.
I'm sorry. So this happened, and this will keep on happening because it will give me. Okay, so I thought, why not merge these insights and send muscle actually to got a yes from my manager and then from the brand manager. Yes, it took a lot of muscles, but finally I got the yes. And it was that time in 2021 when I was the lead for Pakistan and Afghanistan for the Coke Studio season 13. And it was the perfect opportunity because Coke people are always ready for new things, new ideas, and always ready to take the risk. This is something beautiful about Coke, Unilever, and P&G. And they also equipped me with two top-notch sentiment analysis tools in the world, which are the most expensive, and only the few companies in the world have these tools. And they gave me training for this. So I had the full hands-on on Meltwater and Net, which are the top two sentiment analysis tools in the world. And these tools actually gave me the whole story of the wallet guy, which is the topic of today's entire thing. His name is Ghazi Taimur. He is a Pakistani guy who was living in London those days. And actually what happened is that I'll give a quick synopsis. So an Indian guy, Rahul Raichan, who was living in the same city where Ghazi was living, it was a sunny day, and he was walking somewhere and he dropped his wallet, Rahul. And his wallet was full of cards and money and his national card and everything. It's a very precious wallet, and by accident it just dropped out of his pocket. And Ghazi was walking on the same path, and he just found that wallet, and he opened it and saw it is full of the assets, and he was like, oh my God, there is some guy. Of course, the name and everything was written on the card, so he got Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Please continue.
Okay, I'm sorry. The internet gave me the pop-up. I thought it was.
No worries.
Okay. So Ghazi Taimur got that wallet, and that time Twitter, which is now X, was one of the main social media platform. And through Twitter and somehow through LinkedIn, he started searching this guy in the London. And after a long struggle of 15, 20 days, finally Ghazi reached to Rahul Raichan through Twitter and returned his wallet as it is with all the money and all the assets of that wallet. So it became such a beautiful gesture between Pakistanis and Indians and NRPs and NRIs who were living in any part of the world. That wow, a Pakistani guy has returned the wallet without any theft or something, and it became a huge aura on internet, and every newspaper, every publication covered it. So actually, he started hunting, and then finally he reached to the exact Rahul who was the owner of that wallet, and it became that every celebrity was posting about it, and every publication was up for his interview, and overnight he became the star, and Pakistani guy, it became the star. And it is just a story of 2 weeks back in 2021. So there's all information I got from my lovely tools, NetWatcher and NetBase. I made an entire strategy on that and used it, that how it can be used for the upcoming Coke Studio 13 launch. And what we did is that as he was Pakistani, we called him back. He became the ambassador, the first face of social media for the launch of Coke Studios Season 13 back in 2021, December. And the very interesting part was that the place where he lives in Lahore, he has a female dog, which was a bitch, but I don't want to use that word particularly. So he has a female dog, and its name is Toffee. And there were a lot of videos of his and Toffee on the Instagram momentarily, of course. And and after this all hype, people start following him and all that. So what we found through Meltwater and NetBase, that he has 100% positive sentiment. And on each post, he has 200 plus comments and a lot of views and likes. And people are loving the moments about himself and Toffee. So we hired Toffee and himself for the first ever Coke Studios live concert, which was happening in Lahore. And Atif Aslam was the main lead. And the season was actually supposed to be started with the first song of Atif Aslam itself. And we started multiple user-generated campaigns on Instagram back in 2021 when TikTok was not much of in use by any of the world parts. So we utilized and we leveraged Meta. In that time, actually, Meta was not Meta, it was Facebook and Instagram, two separate handles. So we leveraged mostly Instagram, and with the help of Toffee, we had a lot of lucky draws for the concert tickets, and we created a lot of UGC campaigns before it. It was a singing competition as well, and I participated in that as well. And the aura was built around, and people were loving Toffee and Ghazi, and Ghazi himself was a star, and the Coke Studio, they clubbed together. And of course, Coke is always happy to invest money on these kind of upcoming talents and the happenings around the world. And these are the actual shots with the dates. And then what happened? Ghazi and Coke Studio and Toffee, we were the close friends. And from the insights and from the sentiments which were coming on each of the posts, and 2,000 plus comments on one post, imagine, on YouTube, and 4,000 on Facebook, and likewise, and going through all the sentiment and segregating it. And of course, a bunch of comments from the NetBase and Meltwater which were coming. So using all the insights and creating the next post for the next week's strategy, it was such a wonderful experience. And it was such a big hit that time. And it gave us 100% positive sentiment, and all that Zulfi and Ronaldo and all the controversies were put aside, and everyone was actually loving and asking us throughout the part of the entire season. And what I particularly achieved with all this activity was the brand team was not only happy, they were flying high. And the job was not only done, it created a halcyon moment. And I still, when recall them, enjoy them, and actually, I I feel so proud and I feel so great about these things that when we actually created a beautiful uh, combination of sentiments and insights to create an entire experience. So I know I'm over time, but I love to share the thing. Thank you very much for listening and seeing it. Over to you, Pastor Babu.
That's not fair. Okay, thank you so much, Toastmaster Silla, for delivering such a wonderful speech. Half keynote speech, I must say. So what I love about your speech, that throughout the speech, okay, you created a curiosity because the title of your slides were different and the speech title was The Wallet Guy. I was quite confused and I was wondering, maybe she has changed the topic and now she's delivering on a different topic. But eventually you brought the wallet guy in your speech and it was quite interesting, and it's a best way to engage everyone and connected all of us uh, for s- for so for a very long time. During the speech, you were super confident. Your slides were quite amazing. The speech was about using your visual aids and deliver a speech that aligned with your slides. So initially it was there. Maybe there was a glitch and the screen sharing was stopped. And that's how uh, at that point we were disconnected with your slides. So what you were speaking, we were connected to that. And throughout your speech, your hand gestures and facial expressions were perfectly aligned with your speech. And the only area of improvement I would suggest you to maybe make sure that you deliver the speeches on time. Uh, that's the one area of improvement. The another area of improvement was maybe you could have asked, or maybe one of us should have informed you that we don't see slides anymore. So make sure of that next time as well. Now I would like to ask my modular evaluators to please uh, come on stage and deliver their feedback. So Talha bin Hamid, can we start from you?
So yes, thank you so much. I'm the visual evaluator, right? Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you, Toastmaster Tessie,
I thought
for
I'm the visual.
yeah.
I'm
I
the
think
agenda.
switched around.
You,
Just a
Talha,
minute.
you are the auditory.
Yeah, yeah,
auditory.
yeah. So I think you can go ahead and DTM across with the
Okay,
visual.
thank you. So, Mr. Lead Evaluator, and especially you, Toastmaster Tessin Fatma. So, what I observed, you were well centered since it's an online Zoom meeting. Your background did not distract. So, from that point of view, I was also able to see your facial expressions, your hand gestures. So, well done. At times, I felt that I was watching some teenagers' TikTok video. You had, uh, which is great at times, but I felt that it was throughout the speech, you use a slide and you place yourself on the slide. So either you place yourself next to the slide, but if you place yourself on the slide, make sure that your wordings are not behind you, because you covered your image covered the wordings of the slide. So back to you, Mr. Lead Evaluator.
Thank you so much, TTM Sarfraz. Now, could we have TTM Talha for auditory?
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Toastmaster Tasneem, your audio-wise, your speech was a little bit of a paradox for me, because I cannot fault it for not having enough vocal variety and emotion. It did, right? So, throughout the phases of the speech, you express each and everything perfectly in terms of your voice. And of course, when in times of excitement, you also raise your voice to express that excitement. As the speech moved on, you grew more and more confident despite the repeated disruptions. So, but ultimately, what I detected was that your conclusion, perhaps due to those very disruptions, was in terms of audio, not that emphatic. It was a whimper, not a bang. It should have gone out with a bang, right? In terms of your excitement, that, you know, everybody was happy. We got 100% positive vibes. So even a person with a chronic condition of not having enough vocal variety was able to express that. So perhaps you could work on that, you know, that your conclusion could be a fitting conclusion in terms of your voice and your energy and stamina, rather than, you know, going out with a whimper. That's my feedback. Over to you, Mr. Deep.
Okay, could we have Salman Ibrahim for the perceptibles? Perceptible.
Well, thank you very much, Toastmaster Imran. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Tasneem. The speech was very good. From a perception point of view, as an audience, I felt quite invested in where it was all going, especially when you started with the bits where kind of building the blocks on what your analysis and what your thinking was. And then eventually you brought the connection to that story, which I read previously. But then it helped me understand the after events of this whole exercise of the gentleman being invited to all the events, being this supporter, let's say as the brand sponsor. So it sent the message quite easily, very well. The only thing that I would suggest is to make it a bit more structured, because the belly of your speech was a little bit too much focused on a story. But I mean, it could have been a little bit shorter and more on the analysis and the outcome aspect, which definitely would have helped us a lot with your understanding of the subject and your expertise. Learn more from that rather than focusing and looking at more details of the event itself. That's the only comment I have, because everything else that I felt was kindly shared by Toastmaster Sarfraz as well as Toastmaster Talha. Thank you very much for this wonderful speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salman. Now we have 1 minute for Toastmaster Tasneem to share her feedback. Over to you.
Thank you very much, all the modulators and lead evaluator, and I have taken the notes and I'll definitely put it in my next speech. And I will take 10 to 15 seconds to run all the slides, because I don't know at what point actually they stopped sharing. So as you all just remember the story, so I want to run the slideshow. I don't know where it disconnected. So actually we tried, it is a ritual of insights and sentiment, and the brand team is always happy. So I thought to merge insights and sentiments to give an experience. It was the opportunity of Coke Studio 13. I had these tools, and this was the guy, the hero of the story, and he returned the wallet of an Indian guy, and he became an internet sensation overnight. Everyone was talking about him. Every publication was after him. And through these tools, I came up with these insights and sentiments that He, living in Lahore, has a dog named Toffee, and he also became the internet sensation. So we actually utilized him for the Coke Studio first concert, and made him the ambassador of Coke Studio, and it gave us a lot of positive vibe overall, and it was a big hit with all the negativity gone behind the wall, and it became a very big hit for Coke Studio 13 season launch. And the brand team was not only happy, they were flying high, and the job was not only done, it created halcyon moment for me. So this was the entire presentation, and I don't know where I stop, but thank you so much for letting me know. Internet is really bad today, and getting connected is connected. Thank you, everyone. I've taken the notes. Over to
Okay,
you.
so this makes another area of improvement. The project suggested either one slide or three slide. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Did
So
you
now, without further ado, we move on to the second speech. Yes, sir.
William, yeah, before you introduce my speech, I would like to discuss my Pathways Halcyon. So I would appreciate if you can stop recording or live streaming. And then I'll say something before we actually